primarily three potential manifestations, namely internal, external, and marginal potencies. With unlimited expansions of these three energies as such, I'm going to have to read that again. The omnipotent personality of Godhead has primarily three potential manifestations, namely internal, external, and marginal potencies, with unlimited expansions of these three energies. As such, the potential expansions can never be calculated by anyone, because even the personality of God himself, as the incarnation of Sesha, cannot estimate the potencies, although he has been describing them continuously with 1,000, it probably says 1,000 faces. In other words, a lot of faces. A lot of times it says unlimited, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. And they're all speaking, glorifying the qualities, the pastimes of the Lord, the various incarnations, and they've never reached the end, and they've never repeated themselves. So Lord Brahma is saying, he's the four-headed one. He's the one who studied all the Vedas. He's the one who's actually had direct realization of his Father in the form of Gaurakshay, Vishnu, and Narayan, at this point at least. And he's telling Narada Muni, I can't do it, and Narada Muni's like, I think it's, if not the first, one of the first, I don't remember, incarnations, or his manifestations from Brahma, and so how can anybody else? How can I sitting here talk about this? The only way to be able to speak on these subject matters is that we simply hear and repeat with faith and devotion, and gradually it'll all be revealed. But and hopefully Krishna will give us the intelligence from within. Tesham satatam yuktanam brajatam priti purvakam. As you surrender unto me, I will give you the intelligence on how to serve you. And one devotee asked Prabhupada once, how can I increase my service? And he was distributing full sets of books, standing orders in the libraries. And Prabhupada quoted that verse, Tesham satatam yuktanam brajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. What is it? Okay, so there you have it, the whole verse. And yayatam mam prajante. So then, as you surrender proportionately, Krishna reciprocates with us. But in the Bhagavad Gita, we can see how Arjuna, in the chapter 10, he glorifies the Lord. He's asking Krishna, Arjuna, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. See, now this is very interesting. I was going to make this point also later, but since I forgot that this was here. When Arjuna is saying, I'm never become satisfied hearing the nectar of your words. Also at the end of the Gita, we have Sanjaya say, thus I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. So by the mercy of Vyasa and the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it's translated, we are also eavesdropping on a conversation, a transcendental conversation that brings ecstasy to Sanjaya. His hairs are standing on end. And it's 5,000 years ago, the most confidential knowledge. And then Sanjaya says, O king, I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment, hearing it. He's taking pleasure. But not material pleasure. It's just transcendental pleasure. O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more. I rejoice again and again. So there's no becoming satiated by it. There's no And then finally says, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme teacher, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. And so, but, obviously I'm not hearing properly because I don't experience those feelings as Sanjaya. Every now and then I get a glimpse and feel and I have been reading them, for many, many years, but not like they're talking about. So there is another level. It's not just like reading a book. It's a meditation, a devotion. Just like mechanically saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. I heard a class recently by ISKCON, and he was trying to instruct his students on how to become better at chanting japa. And he quoted from a letter from 1972 of Srila Prabhupada saying, I can't remember exactly the words, maybe Colin can help me, but if you sit very tightly and chant very loudly, and your mind becomes one with the sound of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then gradually, the qualities, the pastimes, and the form of Krishna will appear before you. I'm going to say that again. The qualities, the pastimes, and the form of the Lord will appear personally before you. Maybe I should say it a third time. The qualities, everyone say it. The qualities, the pastimes, the form of the Lord will appear personally before you. So it isn't by just reading, even if we were to read all the books and all the scriptures over and over again, we still will not come to the end. Because first of all, where's all the pastimes that Ananta Sesha is speaking? Where are they? Who's written? Is anyone writing those down? There's so many more to be heard. And just by reading and just by studying, we won't actually necessarily fully appreciate or understand unless we, as Prabhupada said, sit down tightly, chant very loudly, let the mind become one. Is that the way he said it? Colleen, do you remember? Becomes one with the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's the highest form of meditation, the highest form of yoga, is to control the mind and allow the mind not to control you, not allow the mind to control you, and allow the sound vibration of Krishna inundate your mind that it becomes full, and then you'll open your eyes and Krishna will be before you. This is actually a fact. Krishna is dancing on your tongue when you chant this mantra. So then here, so Arjuna is asking, please, O Janan, describe in detail all the mystic power of your opulences. I've never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar. So then Krishna says, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestation, but only those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. And now Krishna is going to tell Arjuna some of them. He says, I am the Supersoul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of the Adityas. I am Vishnu of lights. I am the radiant sun of the Maruts. I am Marichi. I am of the stars. I am the moon. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And of living beings, I am the living force, the consciousness. And then, of the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, or Agni. Of mountains, I am Meru. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brahaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya. Of the bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All the mantras begin like that, right? You know, with the syllable Om. I remember one of my sisters was telling me that she was taking some yoga and chanting Om. I said, you can add a few more syllables to that. So I had to write it out. And I don't know if she's done it, but she actually has potential. Of sacrifices, I'm the chanting of the holy names, japa. Of immovable things, I'm the Himalayas. Of all the trees, I'm the banyan tree. Of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I'm Chittarakra. And among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. There's an interesting story about the banyan tree. At one point, in some of the original blue or purple covered with no Sanskrit, the original Bhagavad Gita that was printed by Macmillan and left out a lot of purports and so on. There were some mistakes the editors made, and they put down I am of. It mentioned the fig tree. I'm the holy fig tree. So Balavanta Prabhu, when Prabhupada came to the Atlanta Temple in 1975, we had a fig tree growing there. And it was there when we got there. And so it was on the way from the temple to his place. And so when we were walking by, Balavanta says, Prabhupada, this is a fig tree. And Prabhupada goes, yes, I see. No, but Prabhupada, it's a fig tree. Yes, that's very nice. A fig tree. I can see. So then later he realized he couldn't quite grasp it's not, it's the, a banyan tree. It was one of those, you had to be there. Yes, you have a fig tree. No, it's a fig tree. Of horses, no meat to be uchai shrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Aryavata, and among the men, I am the monarch. So he's going on and on like this, describing all of these qualities, and at the end he says, and he says, of aquatics, I am the shark. Of the, I think it's Brigos of the beast, I'm the lion. I am the sound and ether, the taste and water. It goes on and on like this. I'm the flower-bearing spring. But he says, know that all opulent and beautiful and glorious creations spring but from a spark of my splendor. But what is the need? What need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. So, because what Brahma was saying here, that he can't, and you, Narada, we can't together properly go. Sesha, Ananta Sesha, the first incarnation of the Lord, can't fully. So, certainly I can't, but I thought I'd use some of Krishna's words after Arjuna asked him. And then Arjuna asked to see the universal form. And there's some of the descriptions that what he sees is even more, since we're discussing the unlimited qualities of the Lord. He says, O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere, without limit. I see in you no end, no beginning, and no middle. So this whole point about no beginning, he is the beginning, he is the middle, he is the end. And there is no end, and there is no beginning, there is no middle. Right now, Brahma is, it's actually considered that everyone now is new. We're all part of the modern era. Lord Brahma is halfway through his life, which would mean that he's about 50 years, but 50 years to him is like something like approximately 150 trillion years old. And so he's been around that long, and he's been, with 4 heads, been hearing the glories of the Lord and serving very perfectly, very very dutifully. And he says that I'm not competent to glorify the Lord. I don't know the full extent of the Lord. And it's not just by of course Prabhupada wants us to hear and chant in these books, that's why he translated them. And by hearing and chanting them, we will become more and more convinced. But also it's realized knowledge. Krishna reveals himself to us. And all of this is contained in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'll just read a couple more of these universal forms. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides like blazing fire, or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. He's the source of heat within the universe. The effulgence from his body is producing the heat, the warmth that we experience. You're the supreme primal objective. You're the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible. You are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. And Arjuna is the one he's speaking Bhagavad Gita to. He's standing there and he says, you are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. So it goes on like this. And so it brings me to a story that Prabhupada would tell about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, his spiritual master. There was a gentleman came to visit him, I guess it was in the Calcutta, where he had the printing press. And they were printing books, and they were printing a newspaper. And I don't know if it was a weekly or a daily newspaper, does anyone know? Whether it was a daily newspaper, but anyway, it was at least a weekly. And the gentleman said, I don't understand. I mean, you're printing a weekly or daily newspaper about God and God consciousness? And he goes, yes, why not? In every city, there's all over, and this was back in the 30s, so there were a lot more, printed newspapers. Now, there's so many on the internet. You have so many different news outlets. And some of these are constantly updating themselves every hour. But back then, some of these, there'd be 2 or 3 newspapers, and there would be, maybe 2 or 3 editions a day. And so he says, this is just for the limited, mundane world. Krishna is the source of everything. He is this universe. He is the creator. He has unlimited pastimes. Anantasesha is glorifying him eternally. It hasn't come to the end. There isn't any limit to his pastimes. The only thing that there's a shortage of is what?
Hearing?
That's right, hearing. Interest in hearing about God. That was what Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said. Prabhupada was fond of telling that story. Because there's another story, we all know this story, but I heard it a little bit more elaborately described recently, where Prabhupada's describing there's a planet in the spiritual world called Goloka. It is unlimitedly vast. And all the Vaikuntha planets fit inside that. They can all fit inside, and it still wouldn't cover the whole planet. And each one of the Vaikuntha planets is as big, or bigger, each Vaikuntha planet is bigger than the entire material manifestation. They're much larger. And they can all fit in Goloka. And there's unlimited Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. And then down there in the corner, there's a tiny little cloud. And that's the material manifestation. Where Karanadaksha Vishnu is lying, and all these millions and billions of universes are coming out of the pores. And in each one, is a Garbhodakshaya Vishnu lying at the base on Ananta Sesh, and a lotus flower grows from his navel, and from that Brahma is born. And in all the other Brahmas, there's some Brahmas with 1 billion heads, or 10 billion heads, 1 million heads, 10 million heads, 1,000 heads, 10,000 heads, and then there's one where it's the smallest one. The Brahma has 4 heads. So we have something to be proud of, because I think they say small is beautiful. So we are the smallest, and our Brahma has 4 heads. And so, this was when Prabhupada was describing to this one devotee. He said, so then there's in that one universe, the smallest of all these millions and billions of universes, there's millions of planets or thousands of planets within this universe. And on this particular Earth planet, which is not one of the biggest ones, it's not the smallest either, but it's situated in the middle, it has many continents. And on each continent there's many, many cities. And in each city there's many, many different suburbs and districts within it. And in this particular city, on this Earth planet, there's one city called Los Angeles. And in this city there's one area called Culver City. And in Culver City there's one street with hundreds of houses. And on this one street, there's one house. And with many, many people living in that house, there's one person who thinks he is the controller. He was talking to one of his early disciples and try to put him in his place. So we are. What I'm trying to say is, as what Brahma's telling Narada, is that we are very tiny. We are very small, and Krishna is vast. He's so vast, he is the beginning, he's the middle, and the end. And there is no beginning, and there is no middle, and there is no end. It goes on and on and on. And there's so much to know about him. But we have a lot, but there's much more. And will all be revealed as we chant and engage in devotional service, this process of hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, and washing the temple and taking care of the deities, like that. We can all enter into this unlimited, eternal, nectarian, blissful life that we actually have a place. There's a place for us. We have a relationship already with Krishna. Krishna knows us. Krishna is right now is in every heart of every living entity. No one is insignificant to him. We're all significant. He is attentive to all of our thoughts and wishes and needs. He's been witnessing us since we came, and he's been trying to encourage us to come back. And now we have this process thanks to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came 500 years ago. What time does that say?
It is now 8:20.
Oh, so anyway, and so we are very fortunate. We can take care. We can take shelter of this process, and gradually, slowly, by controlling our minds and sitting down tightly and chanting loudly, but somewhere by yourself.
Can go to the hills.
Make your mind one with that sound. And what is that sound? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time, louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, the new Talavana Dham and the devotees who reside here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone have anything? My better half?
I don't know if this is apropos. I was listening to some of the memory tapes,
Yes.
and I think this is how, anyway, I think one of the devotees said that becoming Srila Prabhupada's disciple gave me an identity.
Yeah.
And we know that Prabhupada said that he would come to devotees in their dreams. And I don't know if this, I'm not trying to show anybody up, but Gokula had he's had a couple of dreams where Prabhupada said, get up and stop feeling sorry for yourself. That was one dream. And then there was this other dream that you had, and Prabhupada said, where's your helper? And I thought...
And I said, she's over there shopping.
He knows me. I'm a helper.
He said, well, get her and bring her over here.
I'm not even I'm not much at all, but it made me so happy. He says, did he know? I mean, this is just coming from a dream.
Yeah,
I felt that, I felt great.
You felt grateful. Well, that's very nice.
Grateful.
Well, that's Prabhupada's job. He's making us all very fortunate. He says, I have made your fortune. Our backgrounds go... Yeah, he says different things at different times to different people, but we're very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada. We've taken birth at this time. I mean, I used to hear one devotee, Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to use this example a lot. He said that, and it probably comes from Prabhupada, but it's like there's a tortoise out in the ocean, and very rarely, but occasionally, it lifts its head for some oxygen above the water. And at this one time, it just happens to lift its head up in between a life preserver. And that is basically our existence. We're down here being tossed around by the waves of material existence. And now, all of a sudden, in this birth, we just happened to come up for a breath of air in our distress. And at that moment, we saw the devotees chanting, or someone came up and said, would you like a book? Or you heard the mantra, you heard the cartels. Or here's a laddu, this is a spiritual food, try this. Somehow or other, we came in contact, and gradually, whatever little thing we do, is Krishna will jump towards us 10 times more, and it increases ad infinitum. So we're very fortunate at this moment. And it's really imperative, because have we already talked about Kalki in the Kalki incarnation? Because in the 12th canto it describes Kalki at that time, at the end of Kali Yuga. There's some description of the life of the people that are living at that time. And if you can't be vegetarian, there is no vegetables. And the people are so abused by the rulers. They're living underground, practically, in caves.
Yeah, text 38 was Koki.
Yeah, we already did.
Yeah.
So we actually have just finished what is known as basically the Leela avatars. And they are as follows. Who are they? Who wants to speak? Yeah, good.
Good word.
Is that from the Gurukula?
Yes.
What were Gurukulas today? Mother Krishna is our teacher. Well, say it one more time. I like the melody.
So clear.
Masya karma varaha Narasimha and Ramana, Rasiram, Ram, Krishna, Param, Buddha, Happy, Baird and Kali,
He's on the same
Yuga,
level as something.
So it was Varaha,
Vatsya,
Kurma, Matsya Kurma, Varaha,
Narasimha,
Nasinga, Parasurama,
Vamana,
Vamana, then Parasurama.
Did you teach Gokula, another person?
So, yeah, and these are just, a few of the many what we have, because we have information that there's one called Harigriva. I don't know anything, all I know is it's a horse incarnation. And Rishabh, we have some little bit, but not very much about, we know that his leading son was Bharat Maharaj, and we know quite a bit about his life. But there's so much, just like think about it, Ananta Seshas has all these mouths and they're always glorifying the Lord. And I'm wondering if anyone is, writing it down. Or they don't have to, they just hear it. It's in the ether. And the thing is that I really truly believe that if it wasn't for the Hare Krishna movement, things would be much more darker than they are already. The sound vibration, the transcendental sound vibration, is inundating the ether. I am the sound in ether. So the more the Hare Krishna mantra, or the Srimad Bhagavatam verses and the Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, those sound vibrations are out in the ether. It goes around the earth, the scientists say, 7 times, and it's cleansing. And if it wasn't, things would be so much darker. And I personally witnessed in my own lifetime, and I remember very clearly one day when we were flying to Mayapur for my first time in 1975. We had an entire jumbo jet, and so in those days, people just smoked, anywhere and everywhere. If you see old TV shows, the game shows, people are sitting there smoking their cigarettes, So we were on this plane, and there's a smoking and non-smoking section, which is ridiculous. How can you just okay, over here they'll smoke, and over here they're clean. And so Hridayananda gets up, and we're all like, oh God, no. And he gets the microphone, and he says, for all of you those there who are smoking, we realize you have a smoking section, but for the rest of us, your habit is affecting all of us. And we would appreciate, because we're trying to, he starts preaching about we're trying to purify our life and lead a clean life. It's your choice. If you wanna, pollute yourself, go right ahead. But not here and not now. Could you at least have some dignity and some respect for others who are trying to live a clean life and not smoke for a few hours when we're on the plane? And it's like one of the first times I ever heard anybody just get right up and say, no smoking.
Did it work?
Not really. But eventually it did. Eventually it has.
Did you have a kirtan on the thing?
Oh yeah, we had. As a matter of fact, at one point we were actually chanting and dancing. It was going like a couple of times we had like that. In 1977, we were the first jumbo jet to land in Dum Dum Airport in Calcutta, and there was all the press was there to greet us, and the entire plane was Hare Krishnas. You start in, first of all the South American devotees would come up and meet us in New York. All the devotees from the West Coast, all over. We'd all meet in New York. We'd take off. We stop in London. All the British devotees would come, and at Heathrow there'd be big kirtan. In those days, there wasn't the whole terrorism thing so much, so we could just kind of lock down the airports, take over. And it was these big kirtans, you see, and they're over there, and there was like you could get across over to one side. The security wasn't the way it is now. And then some of them came with us. Then we stopped in Frankfurt, and all the German devotees, and they were German. They were, Hare Krishna, very intense. And then we meet them, and we get on, and we keep going. Then we actually stopped in the Middle East, but actually it was Dubai we stopped. And now you go to Dubai, it's one of the most incredible structures, the Dubai airport. It's unbelievable. But in those days, it was a Quonset hut. And a couple of kind of trailers that you have, those kind of, just, it was very, very out in the middle of a desert. And it's amazing to see how the growth of that place. And then we went over to India. And the second one I went on in 1977, that's the one that was the entire plane was all devotees. We didn't have any of the smoking problems because we just bought out the whole plane. And they're all there, the mayor, the governor of the state, greeting us. Big kirtans, and they had garlands for the GBCs and temple presidents, and little badges for all of us, and a big kirtan. It was really sweet. Then we had to drive in a bus, and that was driving from the Calcutta airport to Mayapur was like this. Because it's a road that's big enough for like one vehicle, and there's the way they maneuver it is who has the loudest horn. It's like chicken. Coming at each other full on. And finally one of them goes, okay.
Yeah.
And it's and you see ox carts and camels and people walking, people on bicycles, rickshaws, automobiles of some sort, and bullock carts. All this happening like this. No, and hither and thither, And so, that's, I don't know why I got off on that. But it was about the smoking. So, I really feel that we had, the devotees had a lot to, by our chanting, by the sound vibration, it has helped to purify our society on that kind of level. And there's been more interest in vegetarianism and more interested in things like yoga and meditation. So the mantra is working, but still there's a lot of work to be done. And so we have a great opportunity to be a part of this. This is historic. People will look back at these times and say, we are so grateful for those souls that went against the tide. But there's a lot more to come. I just don't know how to. It's going to be one of the pastimes of the Lord. We play a small part of Lord Chaitanya's expansion, the expansion of this movement. Here we're trying to uncover this sleeping beauty, wake it up, called New Talavana. Hare Krishna. Anything else anybody like to say? Yes?
Hare Krishna, I was on the flight, I was in 2008, right after I moved to Montgomery. I was going out to my mother's, so I flew from Birmingham to Chicago, and this was before everyone had these little things, these iPod shuffles, had their music. I was carrying my portable CD player, playing, had my morning program CD and the headsets, and when it went to that Hare Krishna, that beautiful song, it felt like the whole plane was sanctified. Because,
it's nothing, Colleen. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. So I had that song, Hare Krishna, the one, my favorite song. And, usually the flight's pretty loud. Everyone wants their drinks because they've taken the smoking away, but, people can still buy their alcoholic beverages. But even though it was on my headsets, I kid you not, the whole plane was sanctified. Everyone was resting.
Really?
It was amazing, that flight to San Francisco. Wow. Everyone just kind of chilled out. They weren't bothering anybody, the flight attendants to get more liquor for them, and it was just I swear the plane was sanctified. And just, saying Hare Krishna real loud, with my driving yesterday, and I never sleep the first night because I'm just so excited to be here, and I was getting really tired. I'm like, I need to wake up, and then when I get Hare Krishna, it's like, I'm awake, that wakes you up. Saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
What reminds me of this thing when you're talking about that, remind me of the pastime with Prabhupada, and I don't, probably Gokula and Ranjana could be more good at this, better at this. But there was a devotee, and he was trying to drive, and he had one devotee asleep in the front, and Prabhupada and the other devotee in the back were like falling asleep. And he said he was trying all different ways to stay awake, pulling his ear, doing this, gotta stay awake.
Oh, that's scratching.
And then finally, he hears Prabhupada going, ching, 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 ching. And, there was like a kirtan coming.
He started chanting.
It's like I'm awake, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody was nodding, and everyone was sleeping. He's going, trying to keep the wind, but he couldn't open the window. He wanted to disturb Prabhupada. Prabhupada was sitting right directly behind him. I think his name was Tulsidas. Yeah. Well, I remember we're having those. You can turn it off now.